From KUNC and the NPR network, this is In The NoCo. I'm Erin O'Toole. Colorado could soon see a new wave of home solar power, but not in the form of those large solar panels you may see on rooftops around your neighborhood. Instead, imagine slim, portable panels that you could attach to a porch or a balcony and then plug into your wall. Small-scale solar units like these are already popular in Europe, but they're almost unheard of in the U.S., partly because of regulatory restrictions by power utilities, but also because there aren't many of these plug-in solar products on the market yet. A bill at the Colorado State House could clear the way for renters, condo owners, and people who can't afford a full rooftop system to buy these plug-in panels. State lawmakers hope to see these systems available by the end of this year. Reporter Michael Booth covers the environment for the Colorado Sun. He joined me to talk about how these tiny solar power units work and how it might look in Colorado.
The arrays that people are plugging in Europe and I think are starting to look online for in the United States to see if they could get involved in plugging into their own homes or their apartments are the size of, say, a full-length mirror, the kind that you'd hang on the back of a door that would go top to bottom.
Okay.
And then it needs to come along with some kind of inverter box. And that these days is being sold as a battery pack that's kind of the size as we put it, like an air fryer, or if you're old school and have an old PC, a computer tower that's next to your desk. And that is both the inverter and the converter of the electricity, but also storage battery for up to 4 hours of electrical power.
Huh, okay. And you write that this bill kind of grew out of a Democratic state lawmaker's visit to Germany, where she saw these panels on someone's balcony. How did it go from that to this legislation that she introduced?
Yes, the Europeans, they even have a better name for it. We tend to call it plug-in solar. They tend to call theirs balcony solar, which sounds much more
fancier.
Elegant somehow. Yes. So Leslie Smith was on a trip and saw these units all over the place in Germany and wondered, why aren't we doing that in Colorado? So one of the reasons for that we've learned since the story ran is that the Germans and Europeans have the advantage of 220-volt wiring in their entire house, whereas Americans may only have it in the parts of your house that draw the most electricity, say your furnace or your oven or some special circuit that you got where you know you're going to be plugging in hair dryers and space heaters at the same time. So the wiring is different and it makes it easier for them, and it's something that we're going to have to overcome.
I mean, the whole idea seems like a no-brainer, especially in a sunny state like Colorado. But right now, you can't just walk into an IKEA or, an Ace Hardware to buy these devices. Talk about why we haven't seen this plug-in solar technology here yet.
The Americans have really concentrated on rooftop solar, and now that those tax credits have expired, the solar market has been reeling in a lot of ways. And so this plug-in solar is one of the few things that's bringing them enthusiasm back to the renewable energy market. The renewable energy market, as we know, is under assault from the Trump administration in a lot of different ways. This idea of making it a personal thing where you can take the edge of 15 to 20% off your personal electricity needs is something that is becoming very popular very fast. You can power on a sunny day at one time. It might power your refrigerator and your laptop, a light bulb or two, and maybe one or two other things. And the way they talk about it is maybe 15 to 20%. But if you multiply that times, thousands or tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of homes and apartment units, suddenly you realize that it can add a lot to the grid in terms of renewable energy.
Huh. So will this help me kind of achieve that dream of sending electricity back onto the grid and, get money back on my power bill instead of paying?
It would lower your power bill because you'd be using your own electricity for that slice of it that you would otherwise be using. And it would give you backup if you have this battery storage unit for emergencies and for other uses in the middle of the night, or for surges when they might shut down the electricity in your neighborhood or ask you to cut back. You have this battery pack as well.
Well, let's talk about this bill. It's sponsored by several Democratic lawmakers and is based on a similar bill that passed recently in Utah. It would, among other things, define and create safety standards for these portable solar generating devices in Colorado. How would that make these devices more accessible for people who want them?
It would also, maybe even more importantly, prevent anyone from telling you you can't do it. So, for example, that's aimed directly at apartment landlords, for example, or if you're renting a house, it would prevent the person who owns that home from telling you you can't do it. And so that is kind of the key to letting this happen. But it also raises a lot of questions. The apartment association people called us as soon as the story ran and said, hey, we still have some questions. We're still negotiating on some things that we think need to happen to make this stuff safe and actually let it start happening in Colorado.
What were some of their concerns?
One of them is they said they just don't know what happens if you have a 50-story apartment building and suddenly you've got 200 plug-in solar units plugged in at the same time. We don't know yet what that does to the electrical wiring in that building. So they want to have some safety assurances. They want to make sure that they have approval. They don't want to deny people, but they say we at least need to have some standards for what kind of equipment is being used.
The bill would also prohibit utility companies from imposing unreasonable conditions. How are utility companies responding to that language in the bill?
So far, they've stayed away from outright denials or rejections of the technology. What they are saying is they also need to focus on some safety issues. What they don't want is if the power goes out in your neighborhood and you've got a line technician working on the lines in that neighborhood, they need to know that there's not electricity coming from your wall unit and plug-in unit and a bunch of other units coming into the line from the other direction that would give them a shock or otherwise make their job dangerous. So they need to make sure that all these systems, if there is a power outage in that area, will also shut down at the same time and make sure that there's no juice in the lines that's dangerous to anybody.
Well, I want to zoom out just for a moment. Colorado has pretty ambitious renewable energy and climate goals. Michael, I am curious how balcony solar could play a role in this. Beyond individuals saving money on their electric bills, how might plug-in solar have a larger place in Colorado's clean energy economy?
Right now, it's kind of being seen as a way to keep people's enthusiasm going. There was a convention this week of the Colorado Solar Association, and state officials talking on a panel specifically mentioned this plug-in solar as a way to get people out of their sort of Trump administration depression over renewable energy and give them something to be enthusiastic about again and to get personally involved in solar energy and renewable energy in a way that many people already want to do. And so they're seeing it as a way to kind of revive the industry and give the Colorado's growing solar companies something to focus on where they can actually sell equipment, get people installing it, and continue the growth that they've seen in the last 10 years.
Michael Booth is a reporter for the Colorado Sun. We'll include links to his article on plug-in solar, or if you prefer, balcony solar, in our show notes and at KUNC.org. If you enjoyed this conversation, you'll find other interviews highlighting renewable energy in Colorado in our podcast feed. That's it today for In The NoCo. I'm Erin O'Toole. Thanks so much for listening.